Hello, I'm your Kingdom Spiritual Transformational and Life Purpose Life Coach and Mentor Latricia Booker, and we are here to heal, get delivered, and get free, to know who we are, to elevate our minds and our spirits, and raise and expand our consciousness to ultimately walk in our true divine purpose and power. And that is the truth of who God has created us to be. Kingdom people, we are history makers, we are world changers, we are dream successors, we are wealth generators, we are manifestors, we are curse breakers, and we most definitely are transformers. More than meets the eye. Yeah, Kingdom people, we are. Kingdom people, thank you all so very much for viewing my videos. Thank you for all your likes, subscribes, shares, your comments, and feedback, for all your bookings, for all of your purchases, for all of your financial contributions to my channel, and for all the seeds that you sow into me and my ministry. Kingdom people, thank you for everything you do here. Kingdom people, thank you. So, Kingdom people, I am on location and I am the chain breaker. Let's go ahead and break these chains, Kingdom people. Come on. Let me upgrade you. Let me activate you. Let me elevate you, Kingdom people. Come on. So, Kingdom people, God is stretching you because He is expanding you. God is stretching you because He's expanding you. And so here's the thing. As we know, God will stretch us. He will do things to take us out of our comfort zone. He takes us out of our comfort zone because He's stretching us. He puts us into unknown places because He's stretching us. He calls us up higher because He's stretching us. He tells us to go over here and do something and be involved in something that we're not familiar with because He's stretching us. He tells you to go over there and teach this class something that you're not familiar with because He's stretching you. Whatever is God is telling you to do, I'm hearing He's telling you the right to write that book because He's stretching you. Some of you may have never written a book. He's stretching you. He's stretching you. And Kingdom people, God is stretching you to expand you. He's stretching you because He is expanding you. And so God gave me the illustration of a balloon. How when you blow into a balloon, you blow, 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 the balloon stretches. It gets bigger and bigger. But if you don't tie that knot at the end of that balloon or something to hold the air in and you let it go, it'll go right back and shrink back to its normal size or shape. So although it's stretched, it didn't stay in that expanded form because the air was not kept in. And so what happens, Kingdom people, is God stretches you. Again, He's blowing air in you, so to speak. He's blowing on you to do this, to do that, to grow here, to heal here. Whatever He's telling you to do, however He's working on you and in you in your life. And so when He's doing that, He's stretching you. He's taking you into unfamiliar territory. He's having you to do unfamiliar things. But as you acclimate to those new things, you become more familiar with them. And when you do, Kingdom people, what happens is you're expanding. You're expanding and you're getting grounded in those new things that you were once unfamiliar with. And so, Kingdom people, God is saying that He is stretching you to expand you. And so, the reason why He has to expand you is because there are things at a higher level that you are called to do, that you are purposed to do. But He had to take you through that stretching so that you could expand, so that you could be prepared and ready for what it is that He's calling you to do, what it is He's ultimately purposed for you to do. Or it could just be a new venture. It could just be something else God is moving you to do. You may have already been doing some things, but as you know, Kingdom people, God is always moving us around to do new things because He's constantly stretching us. And He's constantly stretching us because He's constantly expanding us. And so I just want to say as well, what God keeps speaking to me about is how growing up, we were stretching. We were always stretching. And as we were stretching, we were being expanded unknowingly many a times. If you don't come into this in that quite that kind of a way, you don't get that revelation or revelatory knowledge concerning this matter, you don't necessarily know. And when you're growing up, when you're in your young adulthood, a lot of times you're not thinking about these kind of things, unless you are, of course. And so God was just talking to me about how, you know, everything was for a purpose. And he constantly brings this up to me in different ways to make different points. How, how we feel like sometimes, we made mistakes in our lives and only if we would have done things different. For many of you who actually have been on a path with God, whether you knew it or not, you were always where you needed to be. In fact, everywhere where you were, you were stretching. God was stretching you. And he was stretching you ultimately to expand you. You were learning new skills. You were always being put in different environments than what you were accustomed to. I've heard people say, "Oh, I don't know nothing about that. Oh, I'm not familiar with this." It's a very common thing that people say. And sometimes out of fear, they don't step out into something that's unknown. They never experience anything beyond what they're familiar with. And so when you do that, you're not stretching, which means you can't expand, which means ultimately God can't use you the way he wants to. He can't use you on a higher level. He can't really move you into what you're purposed to do, because if you shrink out of fear because of unfamiliarity and you only want to do those things that you're familiar with, you can't grow, you can't stretch, therefore you can't expand. And so, God was speaking to me about the book of Esther. And if you go ahead and read the book of Esther, or any of you are familiar with it, you know the story of Esther. And so Esther had demonstrated exceptional bravery and strength, willing to fulfill God's purpose for her life, whatever the cost. And so, kingdom people, you have to be brave and you have to be willing to do whatever you need to do to fulfill God's purpose for your life, whatever the cost, which means you're going to have to be willing to stretch so that you can expand. And so in the story of Esther, God pointed out to me how she was groomed for what she eventually had to do. She just didn't know she was being groomed for, but her life and the way, what she was being taught, what she had been around, her skills, what she was skilled at, all of her talents and abilities were all along stretching her. And it was stretching her to ultimately expand to do what it is that she ultimately ended up having to do. And there was a mass slaughter that was stopped because of Esther's bravery. And so, again, if you know the story of Esther, she had to kind of speak up for her people. She had to have the bravery and the courage to go before the king on behalf of her people who were going to be extinguished, who were going to be done away with. And so, again, God had been preparing her, had been stretching her all her life for this. He had been preparing her. He had been expanding her through that stretching for such a time as what occurred in the story of Esther. And so what God is saying is that he uses us to accomplish his will, reminding us that it is in his strength, not our own, that we succeed. And so again, when we're going through the stretching, God is stretching us to expand us. And so we have to know that it's for his purpose and that he's with us and that we will overcome and that we will get through the stretching because he's with us and he's actually doing the stretching. And again, is to expand us. And so now where does this whole expansion come in at? See what happens, kingdom people, when you are an expanding person, like going back to that balloon. Now, when a balloon is blown up, you blow air. Now the balloon is blown up. If you go ahead and tie that knot, that air gonna stay in. Now that balloon is not only stretched, it's expanded. Which means if you wanted to, if you could, if you were able to, you could untie that balloon some kind of way and keep that air in there and put some stuff in that balloon because that balloon has the capacity to hold other things now because it's expanded. It's the same thing with you, kingdom people, because you have allowed yourself to be stretched. You allow God to stretch you by stepping into unfamiliar territory, doing unknown things. Listen, it's a thing where you always learning something for the first time. Before you knew what you knew, you didn't know. So, kingdom people, you're always stretching. You are always stretching. But here's the thing, when you stretch beyond what you're comfortable with, that's when you begin to expand. And so, again, when you expand, you have more capacity to receive the things of God. You have more capacity to move in the things of God. You have more capacity for God to use you because He's seen that you are willing to stretch. He's seen that you have been expanded and that now you're ready to move into certain things, move into certain territory. And here's the thing, kingdom people, if God cannot trust you to expand, knowing that He's with you, He's got you, it's for His purpose, and you walk along with that no matter how uncomfortable it may be or seem, no matter how nervous it is, you may be, and I'm getting tied up in my words because at the same time I'm thinking of even when you fear, do it anyway. Do it fearing. Do it nervous. Kingdom people, as many people that have accomplished great things. Great things. And they accomplish it while being nervous. Some while being fearful. They're saying face your fear. Do it nervous. Do it scared. That's how you overcome. And once you continue to do that, and you continue to do that, you get more comfortable with facing things that you're unfamiliar with. It becomes second nature to you. And so, kingdom people, God is stretching you to expand you. He's stretching you because it's more, not just what He wants to give you. Yes, that too. But it's so much that He wants to do through you. And He can only do it through you if you're expanded. Because if you're restricted and this is all you have the capacity to receive, that's all you have, or not just receive, but all that you have in you, then you're limited in what you're able to pour out. You're limited in what you're able to do. You're limited in what God is able to do through you. So when you allow Him to stretch you and ultimately expand you, more can come from you, more will flow from you. And I'm just reminded of how those individuals, and this was really on my spirit yesterday, how those individuals who may see you in a certain light and feel like you have some kind of advantage, and maybe you do, and sometimes your advantage is your understanding what you know and or what you do with what you know, the decisions you make, the wisdom you use. And it doesn't mean that you've always done that, but we have to learn and we have to mature and we have to grow. But going back to what I was saying, those individuals who look at you, and it's so common these days. I just heard Holy Spirit says it always was common. I'm just seeing it more. I'm just more aware of it. I'm hearing this more common these days. But the thing is, kingdom people, when people see you in a certain light, and they see you as having something and they wanting what you're having, you all have heard it before. It's like you had to do something to get to that. You had to go through some things to have what you have. You worked for that. And sometimes these people just want what you have. They just want it. They don't want to go through the stretching. They don't want to go through the expanding. These are the same people that got excuse after excuse for why they can't. These are the same people who are opportunist, kingdom people. I don't know why I'm going here, but these are the same people who are groupies. They literally act like groupies. I've been experiencing groupie behavior, been blowing my mind. And kingdom people, these kind of people don't want to go through the stretching. They don't want to go through the expanding. And if you were to try to share with them how to go about getting these things or being whatever it is they see with you for themselves, they don't want to hear it. They actually don't want to know because they don't want to go through the stretching. They don't want to go through the expanding. But for you, kingdom people, God is stretching you to expand you. And He's stretching you to expand you because He's using you. He's going to use you for His purpose, for His glory. We know it. We've heard it before. But I'm saying all this to encourage you to endure the stretching, endure the expanding. In fact, take courage in it. Be courageous in it, and not just that, have joy in it. Have relief in it for knowing that it's all designed to bring you to that expected end that He has already called you to. So, kingdom people, when God is stretching you, He's not trying to punish you and hurt you. He's expanding you. He's stretching you to expand you so that you can have room not just to grow, but to receive. So you can have room to give out listen, I'm hearing whom much has been given, much is required. So people who have been given much, they've been given much because they have been stretched. And because they have been stretched, they have expanded. And so now they have much, whether it be wisdom, whether it be wealth, whether it be knowledge, whatever it is, kingdom people. Because they have much, because they allow themselves to be stretched and expanded, much is required of them. So in a sense, what I'm saying here, kingdom people, is that much God is expanding you because He's requiring much of you. He's requiring of you to pour out in whatever area, in whatever way He has purposed you to. But you have to go through the stretching so you can get to the expanding, so you can move in the things that God ultimately wants to do through you, do in you. I'm hearing and do for you. So, kingdom people, God is stretching you because He's expanding you. He's making you greater. He's making you bigger, so to speak. I'm literally hearing many of you will be a household name. People will know you. And no, it's not about the fame and the fortune. But if God said it, it is what it is. Many of you not even seeking nothing like that. They ain't even had a thought of it on your mind. And it's funny because it makes me think of myself. I've been made aware that certain people have an issue with the attention I'm getting and all this. And I'm like, what? Even not on camera, but just period. I just be minding my business. And it's like I don't look to get attention because of who we are, kingdom people. It just happens when your light shines. It just happens when you're vibing high, when you're high in spirit. It's just how it goes because so many people lack that they can pick up on the significant difference in you, kingdom people. But what I was saying is how, just being made aware of people bothered about the attention. And I'm like, that I'm not even on that. See, when you worship God in secret, He will exalt you openly. And that's kind of what's happening. And not just that, kingdom people, but the people who are seeking, wanting this attention. Think about this. We don't do it for attention. God just, when your light shining bright, like I already said, it just happens. People want the attention, but they want attention so they can feel good about themselves. Why can't the people? Because they ain't doing no stretching. They ain't doing no expanding. They ain't doing none of that. But they want the results of what you get from doing the stretching and the expanding. I'm hoping I'm making sense here, kingdom people. But kingdom people, God is stretching you because He's expanding you. Yes, He's requiring much of you. So He has to expand you. You have to have room to receive. And I'm just going to say it because I keep hearing wealth. I keep hearing wealth. I keep hearing wealth. So many of you, kingdom people, God is stretching you because He's expanding you so that you can receive the wealth. Think about it. You can't receive wealth if you constrict it. You can't receive wealth if you won't step out and take that leap of faith that God is taking you to take, that God is leading you to take. You can't be expanded and receive wealth if you won't start that multi-million business that God told you to start, but you might be starting with $40 and building it up. I'm just saying, kingdom people, you got to do what you got to do. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Quote back from Arthur Ashe. One of my favorite quotes, that is. I live by it. Kingdom people, God is stretching you to expand you. So when God is having you to move in things, just go with it. He say He got you. He with you. We already know that. Don't be tripping. Listen, I'm just hearing people. Because all them outside influences, them distractions Kingdom people, I'm just going to say this. You need to do what you need to do where that's concerned, because people are going to be people. And you have to understand that everybody ain't on this stretching and expanding like you. God ain't stretching and expanding everybody. And for those who he is, that it is their time for that, if they're refraining from cooperating with that, they're not going to get the fruits and the benefits that come with that. They're not going to get the blessings of God. So I'm saying all that to say, if you have identified that with people, I'm hearing you will know them by their fruit. You have to move around people that ain't on what you want, kingdom people. Be careful of not allowing, or should I say, be careful that you don't allow people who ain't willing to do the stretching, to do the expanding, to keep you from doing it. I can't emphasize it enough. I cannot emphasize it enough that you have to not be accessible to everybody. You cannot be dealing with people who are not on the journey that you're on. It may not be the exact same journey, but listen, I'm hearing, how can we walk together unless we agree? If you're of light and they want to walk the dark side, or whatever the case may be, maybe they're claiming to be walking the path of God, the righteousness of God, but you can see actions that that actually don't align with that. And furthermore, Holy Spirit is showing you something concerning that matter, or that person, or whatever the case may be. You have to take heed to that. If you want to continue to stretch and you want to continue to expand, because people that are not stretching and expanding, kingdom people, listen, they're going to try to keep you from doing it. Yes, they'll still try to jump on your wave, but they don't want you to continue to grow and expand. Let me tell you why. They want to jump on your wave to get the benefits of what they see with you right now. But you growing and expanding means you will get out of their reach. So they want to hold you, keep you from growing, but at the same time, jump on your back and benefit off of what it is that you have and what it is that, makes you beneficial. Kingdom people, listen. God is stretching you, and he's stretching you because he's expanding you. He's expanding you because he want to do more in you, give more to you. I just heard him be more through you. But you have to expand to do that. God does not come and reside in any kind of a temple. We know that. He doesn't make his heart his home in anybody. We have to be the righteousness of God. We have to have a pure heart. So in order for him to do more in you, even if he's already dwelling in you, and I'm believing that that's already the case if you're kingdom people, he wants to dwell in you in a greater way so that he can move in you and through you in a greater way. And he does that by expanding you. So when you're being stretched and being encouraged and led to do things different from what you know, or just take it up a notch, whatever the case may be, I'm literally hearing some of you all are probably being led to move to another state, even to another country. Listen, I know all about that. Just go with it. God knows what he's doing. And many of the times you will find yourself in the place that will cause your expansion at some point. It's different for everybody. But kingdom people, God is stretching you because he's expanding you. He expanded you for something so much more greater. So just deal with that stretching. You might get a little uncomfortable. It might be new. You have to learn how to be flexible and learn how to adjust to new environments and to new situations and circumstances. When you can do that, kingdom people, you're so valuable to God because he can just move you. He can just move you. He can just use you. He can just work with you. You would just be so willing to just go and do what he wants you to do, because you are being stretched and because you're being expanded because you have been stretched. And so it becomes second nature, kingdom people. So just go through the stretching so that God can expand you, kingdom people, because God is stretching you to expand you. He's stretching you because he is expanding you for greater. Kingdom people, I am going to let that rest right there. So if you like this video and or if it resonates with you, please just go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Then click on that red subscribe button to subscribe to my channel if you have not already done so. Click on that bell and so that you can receive a notification every time I upload a new video, something like this from Kingdom People. Also, if you are interested in the services that I presently offer, if you would like to sow a seed into me and my ministry, if you would like to check out my podcast show or purchase my book, The Girl in the Mirror by Sheila Brooks. Sheila Brooks is my pen name. You can find all the information right down below in the description box, along with some other helpful resources as well. Also, my podcast show is now on Amazon, so you can search Kingdom Conversations podcast show with Latricia Booker on Amazon to listen to that podcast show. And so, Kingdom People, I love you all so very much. You all know I don't want to leave you, but I do have to go right now. But I will be back to hold my Kingdom People down. Now, Kingdom People, with that being said, much love, light, and peace, and many blessings to you all. Kingdom People, above all else, let the Holy Spirit lead you in all things at all times. We are untouchable, we are unmovable, we are unbreakable, and we are unstoppable. Kingdom People, that is my time. Jesus Girl is out. Peace.